Hey, I wanted to do a discussion today. Basically, my discussion point is horror the outcast of fiction? The reason that I bring this up is because I love horror. And it just seems like they make it hard to find. You can't find it these days. I'll explain what I mean. Back when I was growing up, the bookstores in the malls, like B. Dalton, they had horror sections and you knew where to go. You could go right to it and you can find what you were looking for, or you could just have a good time looking at all the books and maybe finding something you didn't know was available, but that sounds good, that sounds like your interest. They would even have this at Kmart. Like, you could go to Kmart and there was a distinct horror section there. Not anymore. Barnes & Noble seems to be the only bookstore that I can find in my area these days. There are some Hastings. I haven't been to Hastings in years, but I do remember that when I did go, they had a horror section. It was small, but they had a horror section. I don't know if they do nowadays, but I do know that when I go to Barnes & Noble, it's like a scavenger hunt. And it's not that I'm lazy, it's just that I don't want to have to spend hours and hours and hours in Barnes & Noble. You have to know exactly what you're looking for. They put it into general fiction. There's a manga section all by itself, puzzle section, romance, western, but not horror. They put it in general fiction. I think they even have a thrillers section. This I don't understand. I mean, I don't want to have to search for a book. I want to be able to look around and see if there's something that interests me. Not all the time. Sometimes I know exactly what I want. But I don't like the decision to file horror in that way. They could have a section, and I don't know why they don't. Maybe they're thinking, oh, well, horror isn't that popular. I think there are a lot of people that like horror, and I think that if you had a horror section, you'd find out that people will go there and people will buy books. It's like with movies these days. They say, oh, this movie won't draw money, but they don't know because they don't make movies like it, and so of course it doesn't draw money because it's not available for people to see. I think it's the same thing with horror. If you put it out there, then, you know, people will be interested in it. And I don't, the thing is that the horror field is saturated with zombie novels and vampire novels these days. Nothing wrong with that, but some of us are interested in more than just zombies and vampires. There's more to horror than that. And, you know, I would like to see it. I would like to see what's available instead of having to go, okay, what's this book, and pull it out? What's this book, and pull it out? I'm wondering if horror in some way is like frowned upon, like it's not looked at as a real genre to be taken seriously. And that's a shame because there's a lot of fiction out there. Contemporary, literary, young adult. And it's fiction, but it's pretty far-fetched too. And yet, it seems to be taken more seriously. I just feel like people want to sweep it under the rug. I don't know, you may not agree with me. I'd like to hear your comments. Well, read your comments down below and see what you think. But like, if you go to any website, even Amazon, but Amazon it's easier to find. But like, even on Amazon, you type in horror novels, they'll just give you a list of titles that have the word horror in it. You have to, you know, peruse it. And like I said, it's easier on Amazon, but then there are other websites. Really good ones. I'm not putting down the website, but like Half Price Books, Book Outlet, Thrift Books. Again, you have to know what you're looking for because there are no horror sections. Now, Book Outlet does have a horror section. You just have to go to fiction. You have to keep narrowing down your search, but they don't really have a huge selection at all. I'm sure Contemporary Books does. Not Contemporary. What's that called, that site? I don't, there's a site out there that's supposed to be really comprehensive, and I haven't tried it yet. It might have a horror section. It's supposed to originate in the United Kingdom. But what I'm seeing here, what's available in the United States, is that, people don't want to admit to horror. They'll just throw it right in with all the fiction. That's frustrating. I don't mind a scavenger hunt, but I want to have half a chance to find things in the scavenger hunt, if that makes any sense. Not everybody wants to know exactly what book they want. They don't want to go and look up different authors. They want to be able to have fun shopping and look for things that might be interesting to them. I used to love going to the mall and reading the backs of books, and even Kmart, reading the backs of the books and finding things that appealed to me, and it was mostly horror, and I wanted things that seemed scary. I don't know how many people in the booktube community like horror. I don't think that that's, a lot of people's favorites, but I know that there are some out there. What do you think? I mean, Goodreads, you can find some horror, but you have to go look at the lists, like top 100 horror. And that's just based on what people in Goodreads have been looking at and what they think. I mean, if people in Goodreads don't know about a book and they're not talking about it, well then you're not going to see it on those lists, if that makes sense. So I'm bringing up this discussion. I want to know if there's any other horror lovers out there that are kind of frustrated like me and are kind of feeling like horror is the outcast and not being taken seriously. I mean, even with the subscription boxes, there aren't really any subscription boxes out there that I've found yet that I can trust. There's this new one called Hedron's, and a lot of people haven't heard of it, and I haven't even received the box yet, so we'll see when I get that. But as far as everything else, it's like horror is intermixed, just like it is in Barnes & Noble and other bookstores. For example, Nocturnal Reader's Box, excuse me. I love it. I love that box, okay? No complaints about that box. They're up front with you. They tell you you could get horror, you could get fantasy, you could get sci-fi, you could get psychological thrillers. They don't say you're only going to get horror. Then there's this book box that you're supposed to get horror, and I loved it. It's called My Thrill Club, and every box I've loved except for this recent one I was disappointed. Excuse me. I was disappointed, and I'm wondering the angle that My Thrill Club is going, because it was supposed to be you choose horror and they send you horror, and this time they sent sci-fi and fantasy. Well, I want horror. That's why I signed up for that in My Thrill Club. That's the genre. Now, probably they're going to send all horror. This box was just, they tried something. I'm not saying that that subscription is horrible. I love it, okay? I just was real disappointed because I kind of felt like, yeah, this book club, this box gets it right. I get horror. And then boom, I get fantasy and sci-fi. Okay, I want straight up horror. Sometimes. I don't want it intermixed in science fiction like, oh, this sci-fi has elements of horror. Oh, this fantasy is dark and scary. No, I want horror. And I'm just wondering, I mean, why aren't they looking? Why can't they find it? I mean, I don't think that they're running out of horror titles. Maybe it's the deals that they're getting, but that's why I signed up for that club. There aren't too many that will give you all horror. Like even with Blue Spider's Attic, which I love. Okay, I don't have anything bad to say about it. But you have to tell them in your little survey, you have to give them 2 genres that you would like. And, it's possible that you're going to get something from that other genre. You're not going to get straight up that one genre horror. So that's why I brought this discussion up. I want to know if anybody else has the frustrations that I do. They go to a site and they're like, okay, and it's like they're, you know, hitting that return button over and over again because they have to keep going down this huge list that includes everything and anything that's considered fiction. If that makes sense. So I want to know what you guys think down below. You might totally disagree with me. You might think, hey, she has something there. You might be like, I don't give a shit. I don't really care about horror. But I just don't think that it should be pushed by the wayside like it is. And I'm just wondering, I mean, are there that few people interested in horror? I know in BookTube it seems like there are. BookTube just seems to be, you know, fantasy. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's a dang thing wrong with that. I like fantasy too. But I just want to know, where are the horror lovers, and why aren't we getting just a little bit catered to? Just a little bit. Okay, well, I think I might be starting to babble. So I'm going to finish this video and I'm going to leave the question to you. Who knows? I might not even get any comments or questions because maybe nobody cares. Okay, or maybe people will see in the title the word horror and go, nope, don't care about that, and then I won't get any views. I don't know. But I'm appealing to you. I want to know, are you out there, horror lovers? Is it really that tiny of a group? Let me know. All right, bye-bye.